2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the FrameworX University launch event. We're so excited to have you guys here. We got the team from Tatsoft. As always, we have myself, Zack Scriven. We got Vaughn Turner, and we got Walker Reynolds. We got a little bit of an agenda for you guys today. We got a 2-hour event, and we do want you guys to stick around to the end, where we'll be answering questions that you guys have from this event. We do answer your Industry 4.0 questions every week live on our Q&A. So we do want you guys' questions to be relative towards the Industry 4.0 keynote address, which Walker is going to do first. And then we got the team from Tatsoft. We got Dave Hellier, Mark Taptolini. We got Tolgar. I'm not going to try to say your last name right now. And then we got Harry. So they're going to be doing what's new in FactoryStudio FrameworX 9.1. And then myself, I'm going to be doing a live demo of actual FXU, FrameworX University, the reason why you guys are all here. Hopefully that goes well. Fingers crossed for me. But without any further ado, thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm going to kick it over to Walker Reynolds to get started.
Thank you, Zach. Couple of clarifications. I did not stay up all night preparing my keynote. Okay, I did not. My keynote was done yesterday. I did get up early, extra early. I got up at 3 a.m. actually. I forgot. I did get up at 3 so I could work on a demo that I'm going to do. So we're really excited about this event. So real quick, the agenda today, I'm gonna do an Industry 4.0 keynote. The way I always do everything, it's going to be organic. I've got some slides. I've got an outline. If there are any questions that come up, we'll answer those questions just the way we always do everything. Okay. So I'm going to do a keynote. It should take about 60 minutes or so. There's going to be a little demo at the end. And then for those of you who have done Digital Mastermind or Mentorship, we're actually going to be using the same MQTT broker in that demo. So you guys may see some of your namespaces in there. Number two, the folks from Tatsoft are going to be, for about 30 minutes, they're going to go over all the new features in version 9.1. So there was a big major release of FactoryStudio built on the FrameworX technology, the FrameworX stack that happened last month. And we did a big announcement. We've been playing with it for the last month, and that's what FrameworX University is all about. Those guys are going to go over all the new features, all the changes to the platform. And then we're doing, what are we doing after that, Zach?
Well, then we have, what's new with FactoryStudio 9.1, and then the live demo of FXU.
And then Zach's going to do a live demo of FrameworX University, which should take about 10 to 20 minutes, give or take. And then we're going to open everything up to questions. As always, if any pertinent questions come up, please ask them in the chat. We'll keep it organic the way we always do. Without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. We've been having issues with Zoom on my MacBook. So if in the event it doesn't share, please let me know. Zach, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. We're looking at keynote address right now.
Rocking. All right, so the agenda, keynote, Tatsoft V9.1 release, FrameworX University demo questions. All right, let's go over my keynote address. So the subject of the keynote address is that we have there's a bifurcation in industry. Okay, there's really two schools of thought. There's a school of thought from the IT layer above, and then there's a school of thought from the OT layer down. And what we're going to try and do is merge those together in 2021. We've seen trends in the right direction towards the end of 2020. We're going to try to merge those together going forward in 2021 so that we can see more successes in digital transformation. I want to do a quick year in review for our community. So most of the people who are on here are members of our community. So you know, in our YouTube channel, which you guys are all familiar with, we only believe it or not, we only published 54 videos the whole year, which kind of surprised me. But we had a whopping 3.5 million impressions out of those 54 videos with over 22,000 watch hours. And we added more than 4,800 subscribers to our channel, which is something like 70% of the total subscription base. On LinkedIn, we had more than 250 posts with a total of 440,000 impressions. We try to use LinkedIn to just communicate quickly with the community, but really all of the work that we do for the community, the stuff that we try to disseminate, is through the YouTube channel and through Discord. And on Discord, we launched the Discord server in August of 2020. As of today, we have 889 members in the Discord. It may even be higher now. And a number that really shocked me, this is much higher than I would have anticipated. More than 50% of all those 889 members are active on the server at least once a week. That's a huge number for a Discord server. So some interesting things that we did during the year for the community. So we did, if you go to IIoT.university or you go to Intellic.online, you can see all the stuff that we've been offering to the community. And we started a mentorship program in September. Right now, the mentorship program is 2 steps. Step 1 is all Ignition. It's Ignition University. It's Python, basic SQL. It's the IIoT mini course. Step 2 is FactoryStudio, which we're launching today, the FrameworX University. It's advanced Python development, advanced SQL. It's MES, and it's analytics using Python in step 2. Group 1 started in September, so our initial mentees, the guinea pigs, as we like to call them, the member of they're the federation group, right? There were 46 of them that started in September. Only 10 of them completed the training, which is what we expected. Our training is, there are no participation awards in IIoT or Industry 4.0. There are 10 people who completed the training in 3.5 months, give or take. There were 36 that were at various stages, people as far as maybe 90% complete, and some that hadn't even started. There are members of step 1 who aren't even bothered doing it, who aren't even there to do the training. So, but 10 completed the training. 36 are going to join the new group of step 1, which started last week. Group 2, so the second group of mentees, there's actually 112 as of last week. I know there are people who've been added. There are 112 people in that new group. So obviously mentorship has exploded in popularity. And so we've got 112 people going through step 1 training, starting effective last week. And now we've got 10 people who are moving on to step 2. And one of the things that we've talked about internally as an organization is, as a team with education and outreach, is one of the things that I've always complained about in my career, my 22 years in automation, is that, everyone who goes to a training gets a certificate. You know what I mean? Even the guy who was hungover the whole week and sleeping, he still gets a certificate saying he completed the training. He gets certified. It says this is to certify. And I've always thought that was absurd. That that makes that devalues the piece of paper. So our focus has always been, when we decided to do education and outreach, we are prepared. We expect not everyone to complete mentorship. We expect people to fail the first time around. We want the certification to mean something. Anyway, that's the approach that we take. The other thing that we did this year is we did digital mastermind. So the mentorship program is all about, when we decided to do mentorship for the community, it was all about helping people develop professionally as engineers so that they could do Industry 4.0 projects, right? It was all about developing their technical skills. Digital mastermind is another group of people, and there is overlap. If you do digital mastermind, you're automatically a membership of mentorship. The digital mastermind is all about developing people to lead Industry 4.0 projects, to be the change agent, to be the scrum master, to be the product owner of digital transformation in an organization. And the reason we did that is because, and most of the engineers that are on here know that, the way that digital transformation works, the way it works today is some Harvard MBA who is a high-level CEO at a large blue chip goes to a Gartner conference or goes out to lunch with his buddies from McKinsey or Accenture and guys he went to college with, and they talk about digital transformation, and he has no idea what it is. He or she has no idea what digital transformation is, but he gets scared because he's afraid other people are doing it. And he just goes to some smart techie person at his organization or hires one off the street and says, you're our digital transformation director. And the mandate that they give that person is digitally transform us. Let's do more with what we have. That's literally the scope of the mandate. That there's no other additional direction. Well, what we're finding is that the people who are getting hired for these digital transformation director positions never worked on the plant floor, know nothing about automation really, other than what they've read, have no experience trying to integrate disparate systems, and they design an architecture. They try to buy an off-the-shelf solution from Rockwell or PTC or Siemens or Schneider or any of the people that are on this Magic Quadrant here. By the way, I look at this Magic Quadrant we'll talk about here in a second. There are only 2 companies on here that belong there. Of all the companies that are on there, there are only two on there that I put in that quadrant. That's how disconnected the C-level people are, the IT people are, with what actually happens on the plant floor. Most of these platforms that are sitting here in the Magic Quadrant, you couldn't digitally transform an organization with. The vast majority, 80% of them. And yet, Gartner is going to charge you to view this quadrant. People call me and say, hey, well, so-and-so was a leader in the Hitachi solution. Hitachi is not a leader in digital transformation or in IIoT. They're not. Neither is Microsoft, actually. Azure, they have a great Azure solution, but that's only one piece of the puzzle. It's not an IIoT platform that could live in the middle. But anyway, there's this big bifurcation between IT and OT. So how does digital transformation start? The way that it's starting today is some executive says we're going to digitally transform. Doesn't know what it means, doesn't know how to start, hires somebody as a digital transformation director. They have no idea what they're doing. They don't know where to start. And so digital mastermind is all around teaching those people how to do what they've been asked to do. Right? So the people that are on this call, the members of the community, this army of like-minded individuals that we're creating, the reason we're creating this army is so that we can fundamentally change the way people think, start by fundamentally changing the way that people think, which will then fundamentally change the way that they approach solving problems. And then they can go and teach people how to think differently and how to solve problems differently, right? That's the whole point of the army. All right, with that, so Digital Mastermind, we had 28 people go through the first step of Digital Mastermind. We had 22 go through the second step, where we've decided we're probably going to do this once a quarter, and there'll be a different subject each quarter. So we're planning step 3 now, which I think will take place in March. So there's a lot that we're doing with education and outreach centered around Industry 4.0 and IIoT. And what we're hoping, and I saw Industry 4.0 TV's on here. I can't pronounce his first name, but I'm a huge fan of his content. There are only a couple of content providers out there in Industry 4.0 and IIoT that I enjoy. RealPars is one of them. I like what RealPars does. I like what Emil does in terms of all his training. I've taken a bunch of
the automation channel. I love his content.
Automation channel, Industry 4.0 TV. But we need more people in the community creating content that provides value to professionals, not commercials. Okay, so if you want to send me an email and find out, hey, how is it you guys get so many people to watch your videos? It's really simple. We don't sell anything. We're not marketing. All we're doing is we're saying things that people already think, and we're trying to provide value to the community. If you do the same thing, people will watch your videos. It's really that simple. All right, let's talk about Industry 4.0. There's a bifurcation in thinking. There's basically 2 groups of thought right now in Industry 4.0. That is, when we decide we're going to digitally transform, there is what people think and know from the IT layer and above. So from the ERP layer up through cloud, and then there's a different school of thought between the people for the OT people, the people from the MES layer down. Okay, and whether or not you are successful in digital transformation, okay, is a function of which thought leader is leading your venture. Zach, you care to guess where your thought leader needs to be? Do they need to be an IT thinker or do they need to be an OT thinker?
I would say that they need to be an OT thinker because the plant floor is where the rubber hits the road.
That's right. The plant floor is where your business operates. Okay. So this is a message to the executives, the C levels who are selecting their digital transformation directors. If you are hiring vice presidents of technology who have never written a PLC program in their life, or they have never integrated a SCADA platform with and an HMI platform with an embedded controller and a series of PLCs, or they have never had to integrate a series of disparate PLC systems through a communications gateway to some unified piece of software. They've never done those things, and they don't have people on their team who have done those things. Then we can assure you you're going to fail in the first iteration. Okay. The people who are best suited to leading digital transformation are people who have backgrounds on the plant floor, specifically centered around technology. Okay. If you go IT up, I'm about to show you the flawed architectures that they deploy and why they don't scale. Then what will happen is you will pick the wrong technology, you will pick the wrong partners, and you will use the wrong strategy if you don't have the right leader in digital transformation. Okay. And so with that, I want to go over the problem with prevailing thought. So Zach, did my screen switch? Awesome. All right. So we got a problem with Zoom and Mac. So all right, so the problem with the current prevailing thought, if you guys want to see the way that most Industry 4.0 projects, most digital transformation initiatives start today, they start trying to do this, okay? So on the left-hand side here, we have our automation stack, PLC Edge, human machine interface, SCADA, MES, ERP, and cloud. Cloud is the newest layer, okay? ERP is the most segmented layer. It's the layer that IT never lets you talk to, but it's got really important stuff, okay? Then MES, SCADA, HMI, and PLC Edge, that's all your OT stuff, okay? The way that most IT or IIoT platforms try to solve your problem, okay, is what I've done is I've recreated the stack here. This is the type of architecture that you're going to see if we go back to our magic quadrant. All of those platforms, nearly all of them, try to bridge the gap between Industry 3.0 and 4.0 by being solution centered. Okay, we talk about this all the time. They want to use a solution centered approach, an off the shelf piece of software. So here's what they do. What they do is they have a series of edge objects that they develop. So Litmus automation is a good one here, although I'm a big fan of Litmus. Litmus is a good example here. Litmus they have edge objects that run in like an edge device, and those edge objects are designed to map to the cloud infrastructure. For you software developers, the edge objects are essentially data models that are modeled to templates in the cloud platform. Okay. For you PLC folks, the edge objects are user-defined data types, they're UDTs, or they're like add-on instructions inside of a ControlLogix PLC that then map to a cloud, to a template inside the cloud platform. Okay, that is the approach that they try to take to digitally transform organizations, to create an IIoT infrastructure. Okay. The problem is the fundamental issue with the approach that they take is that it's project based, number one. Number two, they still try to approach it using a waterfall methodology. Number three, this approach is a top-down approach. That is, we're going to buy an off-the-shelf piece of software and we're going to just integrate everything. I mean, just you think about this weird idea that, hey, we're going to take one piece of software and have it talk to our entire business. They start by asking for quantified ROI up front, okay? And oftentimes when they do this, They will pick multiple IIoT platforms. They'll put different directors in the organization in charge of a different platform. So, hey, we're gonna have this guy be in charge of this guy or gal in charge of the PTC ThingWorks initiative. We're gonna have this guy or gal in charge of the AWS initiative. We're gonna have this guy or gal in charge of the Azure initiative, this guy or gal in charge of the Kafka Homebrew initiative. We'll have all four of them compete together. We'll compete against one another, and whichever one provides the most value, that's the one we'll go with, right? That's the approach that they're generally taking. From a technical perspective, most of the solutions that are being used today, the solution-centered approach, looks like this. They want to install some edge objects out in the field. They want to use a cloud platform that can talk to those edge objects. And then what they'll do is they'll put a series of connectors between the cloud software with that IIoT software and your HMI layer, your SCADA layer, MES layer, ERP layer. In most cases, what's happening is they're putting OSI Pi. They're putting OSI Pi here. This is by far the most common question we get. They'll put OSI Pi here. And OSI Pi will consume data points from the MES, SCADA, HMI layer, and then they basically use some connector OSI Pi has to try and route that data into the cloud infrastructure, the IIoT infrastructure. We call this the linear approach. This is a solution-centered linear integration approach, right? We're passing data, the industry 3.0, passing data up the stack. That's the approach that's taken. If you look at all those solutions inside of the Gartner Magic Quadrant, every single one of them take this approach. Okay, to kind of drive home in a more meaningful way, every manufacturer, this is their business. They sell stuff, they plan to manufacture stuff, they execute the manufacturing of that stuff, they monitor and control the plants while they're manufacturing, they monitor and control the machines while they're manufacturing, they inventory that stuff, they ship it, and then they get paid and they order materials and they do it all over again. This is your business. What you're looking at here could be this could be a business unit workflow, it could be an individual facility, or it could be an area within your facility. There are organizations that have many ERPs. There are organizations that use many CRMs. There are organizations that use many MES systems. There are organizations that use many SCADA systems. Nothing is unified. Everything within the organization has its own master data model. Everything has its own data. Everything creates its own information. And when we try to digitally transform, what we basically try to do using this solution-centered approach over here is they try to just put a data layer in. They try to put in a data lake. They try to send as much as they can from all these individual application nodes into that data lake. And then in the big data layer, in the cloud layer, the IIoT layer, they try to do machine learning, artificial intelligence, analytics, and create single pane of glass, single point of entry, your universal dashboards by just retrieving the data from the data lake, right? That's what everyone's trying to do, right?
That won't scale. That will never scale.
Right. There's no way in a keynote address to go through and explain why this doesn't scale. What you have to do is trust people who do this, that this doesn't scale. You will hit critical mass. Okay, this is not possible. You'll need an army of engineers, millions of engineers moving your data around. Okay. All right, I'm gonna switch to a new slide, Zach, and here in a second, I'm gonna switch.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure.
It seems like it's been keeping up with us, as well as the viewers. Okay. We've been steadily growing to now over 127 concurrent viewers. Thank you guys. Cool. Let us know where you're joining from today. We have community from all around the world. Where are we looking at right now, Walker? I'm still looking at the data lake.
You should see approaching digital transformation with old thinking.
Okay, we might need to do the hack.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing real quick. I'm going to read the questions real quick. We got Pennsylvania.
I'll give you guys.
Yeah, Zach's going to share his screen real quick.
Give you guys
There's a hack for you Mac.
A little teaser of FrameworX University here.
For you Mac users out there, if you guys want to reset your if you want to reset, if you have an issue sharing your screen, you can
Should be good to go now.
have somebody else share and then reshare.
A handful of the users have already found the magic link to join FXU already too, by the way, which was cool.
You're smart. It's just like what you did. All right, let me see. I just want to make sure it shares.
So right now we're looking at approaching digital transformation with old thinking. 1, 2,
Excellent.
3, 4.
Okay, so I want to quickly go through what's the problem with the approaches. This is what we see in Industry 4.0 and why you're failing. Okay, so if you're an executive watching this, if you are a digital vice president of technology, if you're the new digital transformation guru for your organization, here's why you're failing. Okay, you're approaching digital transformation with old thinking. I've already gone through that. You're going through. You're thinking project-based, you're thinking waterfall, you're thinking top-down. We're going to implement this from the top down. You're thinking, I want to quantify ROI before I ever start, and I'm going to create a competition. We're going to try 5 or 6 different IIoT platforms, and we're going to put 5 or 6 different people in charge of it, and whoever provides the most value, we're going to go with their solution, right? Here's another problem. You're integrating with old technology and strategies. So your infrastructure is most likely being built on OPC UA. Okay, you're using pull response. So each of the software layers that we showed you you're asking them to pull and respond for data, or pull for information and data from some central location and getting a response for that data. Okay, that doesn't scale. It uses up far too much bandwidth in your network, and it creates security vulnerabilities. Okay, you're creating new data silos with each application that you're installing. So with each new piece of software you're installing, you're creating new data silos. One that you have to come up with a new solution to integrate. You don't mitigate your edge. You're milestone driven. Okay, so because you're milestone driven, you are focused on what it is you plan to do from the very beginning, as opposed to adjusting to your new needs based on your new knowledge that you acquire by digitally transforming. Okay, and everything is based on linear point-to-point connections. That your applications are all connected to one another in this big stack, as opposed to them being connected to a unified namespace where they consume and publish data and information to. So the issues that you're facing is digital transformation takes too long, it doesn't scale, it doesn't mitigate any of the edge cases, it isn't agile, and you run out of patience before you realize your value. This is why there are more white papers out there right now about, is digital transformation a pipe dream? Okay. So why do you fail? You fail because you're using the wrong strategy, you've picked the wrong partners, or you're using the wrong technology. Who are the right partners? The answer is pretty much anyone who's watching this video, watching this live stream, anyone who's a member of the Industry 4.0 community, anyone who is creating open technologies that are report by exception, edge-driven, lightweight, and open architecture. Those are the right partners, okay? All right, so now let's take a look at what actually works. And we're gonna be doing case studies. So Zach, did it switch the slide?
Yeah, so right now I'm looking at UNS at the top and what works.
Okay, awesome. Let me go ahead and close this.
And
all right.
Yep, good.
All right, so now so this is the exact same workflow. Here's what works. We're gonna be releasing a case study this year or actually 2 case studies that will illustrate how to successfully implement this architecture and how you can fully digital transform an organization in 2 years or less. Both case studies that we're doing were 2-year engagements to do the 2-year engagements to get them to the point where, okay, we're fully unified, now we're ready to do machine learning. So what we do is, instead of having these linear connections between applications, we use a unified namespace in the middle that is based on a common technology stack. That common technology stack that we use is MQTT. Not any particular flavor of MQTT, but hey, all of our nodes are going to be are going to talk MQTT, and they are going to publish and subscribe from a unified namespace in the middle of our organization, okay? So what I want to do is I want to show you how we do this at the enterprise level as opposed to just the plant level, okay? This box here is one plant. What we're gonna say is I've got two facilities. One is, they're both using the same CRM flavor, but they've got different ERPs. One is SAP and one is just flat Oracle. What we do is we create a unified namespace at the plant layer, okay? And that unified namespace essentially unifies all the data within the plant using the ISA 95 standard. So enterprise site, area, line, cell. We organize the data that way. We add additional nodes, and those nodes are application nodes. We don't call them application nodes. We call them function nodes. So for a new functionality, it gets a location in the namespace for its data and information to go, right? We create a unified namespace based on a common technology stack in each plant. Now that you could also have a unified namespace in an area of a plant, and then you could publish the unified namespace from that area to the plant unified namespace, and then from the plant unified namespace to the enterprise unified namespace. So what we've got is an example of two facilities, both have their own unified namespaces, structured site, area, line, cell with function namespaces. Then what we do is we have a unified namespace for the entire enterprise that both of those namespaces are published to. And we have additional functionalities. And those additional functionalities are things like machine learning. Instead of using a data lake or a data layer directly above these facilities, what we're doing is we're publishing the entire unified namespace and aggregating it at the enterprise level. And your machine learning solutions are subscribing to the data that's being pushed from your instrumentation, that's being pushed from your applications, your MES system, your ERP at the plant layer. And then artificial intelligence is also publishing and consuming from the unified namespace. Other things that happen at the enterprise level, dashboarding, you're creating your single pane of glass, your single point of entry. If you're an executive that's looking at, you know, when I want to walk into any facility across the globe and I want to have, I want to walk into any facility anywhere in the world, and I want to see the same style of dashboard no matter where I go. I want every employee on the plant floor to be viewing the same KPIs across the organization. The way you achieve that in a way that is scalable, in a way that is useful, in a way that is lightweight, in a way that has a short time to value is this architecture here. Okay, and we're going to be releasing 2 case studies this year to show it. I'm going to answer Siam's question. So Siam asked the question, is Sparkplug-B just for integrating data from the PLC to the unified namespace, or can it be used with MES and ERP also? The great question. The answer is this. Within your organization, when you create an IIoT infrastructure, and I'm going to go over some important points here in a minute, we treat all the smart things in the business as a node in the ecosystem. Okay, so anything that's smart. So that is PLC, a piece of software, an embedded controller, even a human being plugged into the network. You treat them all as a node in the ecosystem. The Sparkplug-B is a way of packaging the data from a smart thing. So it doesn't matter what that smart thing is, human being, PLC, embedded controller, machine learning model, ERP, MES, SCADA. Sparkplug-B is a way of formatting and packaging that data. That's it. That's all it is, and it works across for any node in the ecosystem. Okay. Let me scroll down here. Zach, let me know if
yeah.
can
So
you see
at your important concepts at the bottom.
All right, I want to drive home a couple of points here. Yes. So important concepts for digital transformation, right? Those mentees and digital mastermind folks, so you should be familiar with this already. But I open every meeting by reading these again. Number 1, digital transformation is a strategy, not a project. Okay. Number 2, digital transformation is about transforming the way manufacturers operate their businesses by leveraging data they generate every day, but never or rarely consume in real time. Number 3, with respect to digital transformation, not everyone can be helped. Invest your energy on the businesses you can help. Start with finding people who admit they have a problem. There are a lot of reasons why digital transformation fail, and not all of them are the fault of the technology you picked. Internal politics. One of the approaches that you have to take with digital transformation is, and we take this approach every day with our large enterprise customers, is we never try to replace anything they already have. Our approach is always to augment what they already have. If you're going to be doing digital transformation and you think that you're going to be able to go in and replace a platform that 200 people's jobs rely on, and that there's a guy making $200,000 a year, the product owner is making $200,000 a year managing this platform, and you think you're going to be able to go in there and replace it with a platform of your choice, you're kidding yourself. All 200 of those people are going to conspire against you to get rid of you. Okay, so your approach has to be to don't go in trying to replace anything. Go in trying to augment what is already there. Okay. Some important definitions. Industry 3.0 is the automation of manufacturing processes, which created digital data. Think we went from relay logics to PLCs. Industry 4.0 is the digital integration and automation of business processes, creating information. Digital transformation is all about going from manual or paper processes to integrated digital processes. It's not just digitization, taking something paper and turning it into a digital report. Digital transformation is also about moving to integrated digital processes. IIoT is the ecosystem we create by digitally transforming business filled with connected things. One of the biggest frustrations we have in Industry 4.0 is, and I'm going to go back to Gartner's Magic Quadrant here in a minute, though all of those applications that are in Gartner's Magic Quadrant, nearly all of them, there are a couple of exceptions on there. They want to be the singular solution that you're using for IIoT. Their idea is to be the singular solution. They do not approach digital transformation as our solution is a node in an ecosystem that has to play nice with one another. And that's one of the prerequisites of successfully digitally transforming. Some important general concepts with digital transforming, okay? Can't stress these enough. Number 1, you have to know what your digital strategy is. If you are in the process of digitally transforming and you don't know what your digital strategy is, stop. Don't do anything else. Stop, take 2 steps back, and call a meeting and put down on paper what your digital strategy is. What does a digital strategy look like? What is our problem? What do we believe the solution to our problem is? Okay. What do we believe the solution to our problem is? How do we want to approach solving that problem? Okay. And how do we want to approach solving that problem? And how are we going to adjust to changes in how are we going to adjust to changes that are invariably going to come down the road? That's an example of the questions you have to answer before you know you have a digital strategy, a sound digital strategy. Number 2, you got to approach every project as one part of a bigger whole, okay? Not as standalone. How does this fit into our overall architecture? Number 3, most important, for your OT people, for your PLC programmers, for your HMI developers, for your SCADA developers, your MES developers, you cannot make any assumptions about how data will be consumed. What does that mean? What it means is that all of the data points inside of a PLC are going to mean something to someone, to some consumer. So stop filtering out the things that you think no one will care about. That's a very good illustration of what I'm talking about here. Number 4, treat all producers and consumers of data as a node in an ecosystem. Number 5, build a technology stack, the slide above. And number 6, you got to remain agile. Agility is all about being able to adjust to how your knowledge expands. Part of digital transformation, and we'll go over this in our case studies, part of digital transformation is your entire organization learns things during the process. As you're implementing your process, the whole organization, its knowledge base is growing. And what we want, what functionalities we want, what features we want, is always a function of what we know. So we have to have a mechanism to adjust to our changing knowledge, which will lend to our changing desires. Okay. And agile project management is the way to do this. Okay. Real quick, what is the steps to digital transformation? I want to thank you to Michael who did this. One of our guys, Michael, put this together for one of our clients, and I just decided to snag it. I generally just draw it. But the steps to digital transformation is, there are some prerequisite steps and then this iterative process. So number one, you're going to inventory the business, the whole business. Number two, you're going to inventory the intelligence within the business. Number three, you're going to connect all the intelligence to the network. Number four, you're going to integrate all that intelligence into a unified namespace. Number five, you're going to present some information. You're going to people, to consumers. You're going to learn from the new knowledge, and then you're going to expand the unified namespace and the features that visualize what's in the unified namespace based on that new knowledge. In a nutshell, in a 60 seconds, that is digital transformation. All right, let me go to an example of what works. I want to show you guys a couple of things, and I'm going to apologize to the FactoryStudio guys. I have an existing demo that uses Ignition. I wasn't going to use it because all that normal politics stuff, but because the demo is already running and everyone here, the mentees and the digital mastermind folks, already have stuff living in a unified namespace that we share. You guys are gonna see Ignition, but we're actually gonna replace. I'm not gonna replace. I'm gonna plug Ignition, FactoryStudio into the ecosystem. So you guys will hear us talk all the time that we use Ignition and FactoryStudio interchangeably. They both can serve the exact same purpose within our ecosystem. So when I show you this, you can easily put FactoryStudio in the place of where Ignition is here, because they both support the same technology stack. Okay. So I've got on my desk over here, you guys are gonna be seeing a video on the Zoom Edge, that this device here in the lower left-hand corner is a Zoom Edge. It's from FreeWave. It is an IIoT device, okay? And it supports all of the technologies that our technology stack. So it supports MQTT 3.1.1 and Sparkplug-B. And I've got, I think, 16 I/O points on here. They are configurable I/O, which is kind of cool. So, channel 1, 2, 3, and 4, I can decide if I want an analog, digital, whatever. And then I have a little breadboard here that's got a potentiometer. I've got a little LED. So if I push that button in the center of the breadboard, that LED lights up. That also closes a Boolean in the FreeWave. And then that pot will adjust a set point in our unified namespace. So what I've got is a unified namespace in the cloud that all the mentees are familiar with. I'm going to show you guys that here in a second. And I'm going to show you how I brought this device into my office this morning. The only thing that I did was plug the network cable into it and turn the power on. That's all I did. It was already pre-configured to connect to the unified namespace and publish its data into the broker. So as I adjust the pot, you guys will see that value change. So we're going to go to FactoryStudio here in a second. All right.
All right, and we're looking at we're with you still on the screen share.
Okay, so you're seeing the designer?
Yeah, we see the designer now.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm gonna just quickly show you guys. So we're looking at a unified namespace here right now, an active unified namespace. And again, we're using Ignition to look at this, but the fact that we're looking at Ignition is not important. I can put FactoryStudio in here, and we will later on in the year, probably in another couple of weeks, where we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to plug FactoryStudio into the ecosystem and show you this. Okay, so we have a unified namespace here. During all of our training, we have our engineers all over the world are building applications with their own unified namespaces, and then when we're done, we have them publish into a centralized unified namespace, just like I was showing you what works. Okay. So some of these haven't been connected for months. So if I want to look and see what's live right now, if I go to the engine info and I go to my edge nodes, I can look at what nodes are online, right here, and I see that I've got 5 nodes online. That means I've got 5 devices publishing right now, okay? And if I look at the device IDs, I've got Ben Vanima's machine is publishing to me right now. Default, I have my Kepware namespace is publishing. The Zoom Edge, which I've got next to me, is publishing. I've got a demo that's running that's publishing, and then I have an example. This is a life sciences example that are all publishing into the namespace as we speak. So if I go to, if I go down here to my Zoom Edge, which I've got sitting next to me over here, and remember, all I did this morning was oh, make sure I'm, yeah. All I did this morning was make sure that I was plugged in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my headset. I'm going to turn this off and turn it back on, and we'll watch it refresh. All right.
Yeah. And when I did Digital Mastermind Step 1, or when we did it, I was, you know, kind of focusing on the Zoom stuff, but I also played along with, and I installed Ignition on my MacBook. Well, when we did Digital Mastermind Step 2, it turned out I was like still publishing that whole entire time from my MacBook. Anytime my local host MacBook booted up, I was running an Ignition gateway server, like while I was editing videos and stuff. Like I've forgotten about it, but all right. So we're looking at the MQTT Explorer.
Yep. So what I want to show you is I use a little tool here. So I've got this Ignition broker. It's actually not Ignition that's running up there, but I call it Ignition because that's what I was demoing with. Oh. Reset. Okay. Okay. Good. So I've got, all I did was I've reset my this Zoom Edge. So all I did was plug it in, connect it to the network. That's the only thing that we've done. And
Dan,
yep.
Dan asked what the FreeWave part number was. Oh, there it is.
That's a good question. Hold on a second. Just, hey, Dan, look up Zoom Edge, ZUMEDGE. But okay, so now the device is connected. I restarted it. And now as what I'm doing right now is I'm adjusting the potentiometer, and we'll watch the sensor value drop, okay? So you should see it drop to 11.59, give or take. We're also monitoring the board temperature. So when we talk about open technology, there's always data in your hardware that you don't use for like process control, but you would want to use to diagnose issues with the system, right? So the internal temperature of a processing board is an important data point that machine learning almost certainly is going to care about, okay? I want to do one other thing real quick. So again, what we're looking at here is I've got a Zoom Edge. Zach, can you see my screen right now?
Yep. We're looking at your Zoom Edge.
The Zoom Edge unified namespace. All right, so what I've got is the Zoom Edge publishing directly into a cloud broker, which I just showed you. What I'm going to do is show you an example of how I can take a local unified namespace, okay, which this board that I've got here on the right is, I've got a bunch of disparate systems here, okay? I've got a Slick 500 Control Logics. I've got an EasyRack PLC. I got a Siemens S7 1200. I've got a CMT SVR from Maple Systems, and I have a Raspberry Pi and a Moxa Wi-Fi AP on this board. All of them support the same technology. Now, what I'm doing here with the Control Logics is that I talk to Kepware, and then Kepware has an IoT gateway that supports the technology that we're using. What I'm going to do is I am going to set up a transmitter. I'm going to set up a transmitter on my local machine here, and I'm going to show you how you can easily scale. I can take the unified namespace that's on this board, it'd be an area in your plant, and I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then I'm going to publish it into the enterprise unified namespace, okay? Again, inconsequential that I'm showing you that I'm doing this with Ignition. And again, I apologize to the FactoryStudio guys, but I didn't have a chance.
We're going to be building out our digital mastermind project this year in FrameworX. So,
all right. So can you see my tag structure, Zach?
I can see your tag structure. Yep.
Okay. So what you're looking at here, everyone, is this is the unified namespace on the board. Okay. So this is the data from the CMT SVR. I've got 2 thermocouples, room temperature and vent temperature in there. I've got on that broker, I've got the Dallas information, temperature information, and the Branson temperature information. I'm publishing the CMT SVR over SparkPlug-B as well. So this is flat MQTT from the Maple Systems device, and this is SparkPlug-B to show the difference. Okay.
Because it's broken down into tags via the engine.
Correct. And then I've got an OEE namespace. And then I've just got some generic tags, Walker test, tank 1, and some fake stuff. But also what I have running is I have InfluxDB running on the Raspberry Pi. And InfluxDB supports the technology, okay, the same technology stack. And so what I'm doing is I'm publishing information from Telegraph. Telegraph is communications, how Influx will talk to like Grafana and stuff. And what I'm doing is I'm taking the raw data from the Raspberry Pi and I am publishing it into the unified namespace, okay? Now what I want to do is I want to take this namespace, which is not accessible in our enterprise broker, okay? It's not accessible. And what I want to do is I want to go to my transmitter. I already set the transmitter up, this demo board, and I'm going to enable it. So what's going to happen is we're going to publish the data to Dallas IIoT demo server 1. That's the SparkPlug-B settings. I'm going to enable this transmitter. I'm going to save changes. And then I just got to refresh my transmitter. I'm just doing this in transmission control.
So this could be an entire plant, or this could be an entire enterprise that you acquire for all intents and purposes that we're integrating live on this demo.
Absolutely. That's exactly the point. Yep. All right. And if I go back to my broker, so now I'm looking at my enterprise broker, the one in the cloud. We've got Dallas, IIoT demo server, and everything that's inside that namespace.
There it is.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what I want to do is real quick, I want to go over, and now I want to talk about FrameworX real quick. Okay, so you can see FactoryStudio.
We can see the FactoryStudio powered by FrameworX, your and-on project. Yep.
All right, cool. So everything that I just showed you was irrespective of the platform. What I just showed you, the architecture I showed you, the ability to be able to take a unified namespace and publish it to an enterprise class unified namespace, that's inconsequential. That is not solution specific, okay? That's technology specific. We're using a technology stack to do that. And we're using the exact same technology stack that we can use here in FactoryStudio, okay? So, and the way that I would do that is, and you guys will see this in FrameworX University, we're going to teach you how to do this, is I can open my project in the engineering environment. Oh, you got to be kidding me. I just reset the license, man. Oh, there we go. Okay. Under devices, I can create MQTT brokers. So if I want to, I can create a MQTT SparkPlug-B connection. I can create an MQTT, this is actually a channel, not a connection. I can create a SparkPlug-B channel, okay? And by creating this, I can then now go in and create the node and subscribe to the namespace, okay? So and have all that entire unified namespace accessible inside of FrameworX and FactoryStudio exactly the same way I just showed you. The exact same way that I can access that entire namespace using an off-the-shelf piece of software called MQTT Explorer that didn't cost me anything, okay? And here I can switch back and forth between brokers. So this, and using the Explorer, I'm now viewing the the unified namespace, the broker that's running on that Raspberry Pi. And if I want to, I can, I have another broker that's running, this is a Mosquito broker that's running in the cloud. I can connect to that one. A unified namespace is all about taking the namespaces from these disparate brokers and putting them together into a single unified namespace. All right, any questions about what I just showed? Phil Scruggs, Grafana's got some really neat plugins lately. It seems to have caught on. Lots of new data connectors. Yeah, that's right. Phil, here's my only issue with Grafana is, and with InfluxDB, is it's limited to time series if you want to be effective, right? And so it's perfect as a node in the eco. I get this question a lot, actually. Can I use the stack, the InfluxDB stack, as my unified namespace? And the answer is no, because all of the solutions in that stack are really developed for time series data only. But all right, any questions about what I've shown? Hopefully this was valuable. This piece was valuable to you guys. All right, let me go back to my presentation and close out. Some suggested reading, gang. There's a really good book out there that I think came out in like 2019. Zach, can you see my slide with my OneNote?
Yeah, we're looking at your things to look out for in 2021.
Great. So suggested reading. A couple of things here. Industry Today had a really good article on IIoT adoption in the post-COVID era. One of the biggest things that obviously I'm sure you guys have seen, and we have seen as well, is that there were a lot of manufacturers who COVID made them realize that they were ill prepared to manage their operations in a post-COVID era. Industry Today published an article in October that does a pretty decent job of touching on the important points from a 10,000-foot view. Okay, but what I would like to recommend you guys do is there's a book called The Digital Transformation Playbook by David L. Rogers, a guy from Columbia Business School. Rethink your business for the digital age. In a nutshell, what Rogers says is exactly what we preach. That digital transformation is a strategy, and it's a strategy designed to change the way that you do business. If you want to, it's a light read. If you guys subscribe to Scribd, you can listen to the audiobook for free if you want to. But those are two articles I would recommend. Arturs Grigals, is FactoryStudio a Sparkplug primary app? Well, I'm not sure what I understand the question. Does it support Sparkplug B? The answer is yes. It can both decipher and publish in Sparkplug using the asset model and tags. Okay, things to look out for in 2021. Number one, we're going to be doing digital mastermind step 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to help educate the community even further on how to manage these types of projects. We're going to use the case studies to do that. Enterprise mentorship, that is, organizations that want their engineers to all be trained under our mentorship program. We're going to be offering it so that just a single organization, you can have a single organization subscribe and all your employees can go through it. MES 4.0 beta and the UNS Gateway beta will be launching at the end of the month. We're going to do 2 case studies that we'll release. Actually, there's going to be 3, but there's 2 I'm announcing. One is digital transformation case study on food and beverage. It was a 2-year engagement, fully digitally transformed an organization. We're doing machine learning, and we're doing machine learning right now with Expanse AI. They are members of the Discord server. And then we're doing an enterprise IIoT case study that was mobile water, wastewater, 200 rigs all over cellular connections, 500 to 800 topics per rig, all into a unified management application. We're going to be announcing a Sesame partnership. For those of you guys that don't know who Sesame is, I encourage you to go to their website, sesame.org. The president's a former Rockwell guy who defected and moved from the dark side. And we're going to be doing a high-byte intelligence review and demo in March. High-byte can serve as the unified namespace. And then the two big things, the things that we're most excited for this year, and the whole purpose of this call is FrameworX University and our FactoryStudio review and demo. Everything that I just showed you, we're going to be plugging FactoryStudio into that ecosystem and replicating it, and then showing you the power of FactoryStudio. One of the things I want to touch on real quick before I hand it off is to do what works. Zach, you can see the what works slide.
Yeah. We're looking at common technology stack.
Yep. So in terms of what works, when we're digitally transforming, we're basically creating a two-pronged attack to connecting all the smart things into your ecosystem. The first part of that, the first prong, is using an IIoT platform that can talk to lots of things. Okay, it can talk REST, it can talk SOAP, it can talk OPC, blah blah blah. I'll answer Andre's question here in a second. You're using an IIoT platform to talk to all your legacy stuff, your legacy software and hardware, and then using the IIoT platform to convert the namespaces into your common technology stack. That's prong number one. Prong number two is selecting new technology that supports your technology, or new hardware and software that supports your technology stack out of the box, so that it doesn't have to go through an IoT platform to become normalized and plugged into the ecosystem. So what I showed you earlier with the Zoom Edge is a perfect example of hardware. Yeah, sesame.org, John McKeon. The Zoom Edge is an example of technology that plugs directly into the ecosystem, hardware that plugs right into the ecosystem, and it doesn't have to go through anything. The Easy Automation Easy Rack PLC is an example of hardware that plugs directly into the ecosystem. CESMII.org, John. But a ControlLogix Slick 500 or ControlLogix PLC has got to go through. It has to go through an IoT platform or an IoT gateway to be converted into your technology stack. Okay. Your approach is two-pronged approach. Prong one is, how do I get the legacy stuff in? Prong two is, what are our specifications going to be for all of our machine builders, all of our software vendors going forward, so that they just plug into the ecosystem. Okay. And the last thing I want to touch on before I hand it over to the guys at Tatsoft is I want to go over what the experts say. Okay. And I do experts in air quotes. Okay. And I'm not here to pick on Forrester, Navigant, or Gartner. What I'm using them to highlight the premise of my presentation, which is we have a bifurcation of thought in industry. Okay. The people at the C level and at the IT level think one way, and the people at the OT level think another way. And that bifurcation is a manifestation of the fact that people who live in the IT world and at the C level do not understand the realities of the plant floor. They've never written a PLC program. I use this illustration all the time. If I give the same functional specification and sequence of operations for a PLC program to 10 different PLC programmers, okay, if I give that the same SOO and the same functional specification to 10 different PLC programmers, they're going to write me 10 completely different programs that all do the exact same thing. And you know, some of them may use user-defined data types, some may not. Some may use AOI, some may not. Some may use a tag-based naming convention. Some may use a P&ID-based naming convention. Some may use a register-based naming convention or other. All of those things play directly into whether or not you're going to be able to plug that program into an IIoT infrastructure with minimal effort. The solution that everyone tries to, that the solution-centered approach that all these folks that are in this Venn diagram here, or in the Gartner, Magic Quadrant, is what they try to do is create objects to put in the PLC that then map to the software. And we know that that doesn't scale. First off, it's not all encompassing. It doesn't cover all the data. It doesn't cover all your needs. And so then you still have to have a plan for the stuff that their solution doesn't cover. Their solution-centered approach doesn't cover. This is why technology is the answer. This is why the technology stack is the answer. This is why a strategy approach is the answer. The OT folks are right. The IT folks are misguided. What we really need going forward in 2021 is for the C-levels, and for the folks at the C-level, and for the folks in the IT groups, to take their knowledge, take their expertise, and use it to support the vision of the folks who are operating at the operational level. That's how digital transformation is going to be most successful. All right, with that, Zach, I'm going to hand it off to you to introduce the guys at Tatsoft, and I'm going to answer a couple of questions while we're doing it. So Andre, what type of penetration into pharma, biopharma, regulated environments are we getting for Industry 4.0? Quite a bit, actually. If you look at the work that we're doing right now, and John McKeon can chime in on this too, because he's a life sciences guy. About half of the stuff that we're doing right now, that our team is doing right now, is life sciences and pharma. Food and beverage is another emerging industry. Exactly, John. Must start from the bottom up. So yes, there's a lot of penetration and a lot of wide adoption right now of the unified namespace approach in life sciences. Abdul, can Node-RED be used as an IoT gateway for control logics? Any comments on its reliability? It can be used as an IoT gateway for OPC. So from a piece of software that is that's communicating over the native drivers to control logics. In terms of reliability, we're really only using Node-RED in non-critical applications or in research and development, proof of concept or pilot. But you generally want to move from Node-RED to another application, something that's designed for industry. But we use Node-RED, Raspberry Pis, Mosquito to wireframe and do proof of concept though, all the time. All right, Zach, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Walker. I want to give you a little mini round of applause. That was awesome. Thanks for doing that for us. And guys at Tatsoft, thank you. I want to introduce Mark, Dave. You guys should know them if you watched our podcast with them, which you guys should. And then we've got Tolgar and Harry. Guys, Tatsoft, thank you guys so much for being here today.
For having us.
You're very welcome. Absolutely.
So what do you guys have in store for us? And yeah, I'll just give you guys
V9.1, man. Show us the goods. What's V9.1 is we've been excited for this release. What you guys are going to be showing us what's new. So show us the goods, man.
Sure. So do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Should say frame. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Hello, world. Welcome. So for the next few minutes, we're going to be giving you a brief introduction into FrameworX, the affordable platform with limitless possibilities for your industrial applications. So we're glad you've taken time to attend this meeting as we briefly show you what a powerful and cost-effective platform FrameworX is. So let's go ahead and get started. We invite you to leverage our experience in industry. We've been in this industry for, over 25 years. We come from an industrial DNA. We like to refer to ourselves as working with so many types of companies with more than a quarter century of industry experience. In FrameworX, you'll find cutting edge technology that enables industrial 4.0 solutions. With a large variety of use cases that all provide real-time data, enabling you to make better and faster decisions. FrameworX is completely object-oriented, fully integrated, unlimited platform to create solutions ranging from the edge to the enterprise. Solutions built on FrameworX include analytics created with Python, manufacturing intelligence, asset monitoring, real-time performance monitoring, dashboards, and so much more. Excuse me one second here. There we go. Okay. So why FrameworX? With FrameworX, everything works. It's a complete and fully integrated platform for creating solutions to solve problems. It can plug into existing ecosystems of other technologies, enabling them to share data, to digitally transform any organization using Industry 4.0 technologies. All models or all modules or tools are included in FrameworX, and it's unlimited in terms of I/O count, simultaneous development engineers, and runtime clients, but can be right-sized to fit any application and budget requirements when needed. FrameworX is powerful because operating so close to the system kernel, it's blistering fast. We like that phrase. It's also powerful because we include libraries of vector-based advanced and high-performance symbols while enabling you to create your own symbols to exactly fit your needs. FrameworX brings you unparalleled flexibility because everything is an object and completely browsable throughout. Using namespaces, you can literally get to parameters and elements of anything in your project from any of the tools. It's a huge time saver, so you can focus on other important areas.
And Dave, I want to chime in here real quick.
Yes, sir.
One of the most important points, and I drive this home all the time, in terms of speed, where FactoryStudio is a game changer is that when we talk about speed, what I'm talking about is the update rate of the screen. So how quickly can you update data on the window? So how fast can you possibly update it? And the answer is the speed that we've grown accustomed to with mobile applications on like our iPhones. It's a comparable speed in FactoryStudio running on a desktop or on your mobile device. That's the big piece. And then when it comes to the browsable piece, every single parameter, attribute, element you create is an instance of a class inside of FactoryStudio. Nothing is custom, so therefore it is browsable in the namespace. I can go to a namespace dot element dot parameter for anything that I've created, anything, and that's the beauty of the platform.
Very good, thank you. And as far as scripting capabilities, show me another platform that incorporates not only the .NET languages of C# and VB.NET, but also JavaScript and Python. So bring your Python code over to FrameworX if you created analytics for other tools there, right? Our founder and CTO, Mark Taccolini, who's here with us, will tell you more about that here shortly. And let's not forget the security that comes from being an intrinsically safe platform. In fact, FrameworX is completely compliant with .NET standards and runs as managed code within the .NET framework, meaning you have higher availability, stability, reliability than other platforms which are not. FrameworX enables IoT applications and cloud connectivity, making your Industry 4.0 initiatives possible. With FrameworX, you can take real-time and event data modeled in the platform and put it up in the cloud for other applications to use, enabling processes and analytics across the enterprise. It can be at the edge, sending information to the cloud. The SCADA or HMI can send data also, and you can view your displays from anywhere. So you can run FrameworX and do a lot of the same things you would do on-premise with on-premise applications on the cloud, such as asset monitoring, performance dashboards, digital twin applications, advanced analytics. How is this possible? Because it's all in the box, as they say. Connectivity via OPC UA, MQTT, over 60 included communication protocol drivers in the box. Connectivity to SQL, Oracle, Postgres, OSIPy, and other databases and historians. Vector-based graphics, dashboards, reports, alarms, tags, data collection, scripting, and HTML5. All these things are included in every package of FrameworX. And here's an important tidbit, okay? Just as a side note, FrameworX Unlimited includes all this, for an unlimited amount of I/O, unlimited simultaneous engineers working on the same or separate projects, and unlimited runtime for under $20,000. Oh, I should mention that's for a fault-tolerant redundant pair of licenses, okay? And if you're talking about a standalone system, it's just under $14,000. So you get all this for that price range. So some of the other things that are new and improved in 9.1, we included the ability to create responsive dashboards. So if you create a display and you're looking at it on your widescreen, and you pull up that same display and you're looking at it on your iPhone and you're holding that in a portrait orientation, the objects in the screen will shift to take maximum advantage of that real estate in that orientation. So if you rotate it back and forth, those things will shift. So you get, the most use of the real estate that's there. That's a big one for us here, and we're getting a lot of great feedback on that tool. MQTT.
Dave, is that built straight in, or is it that you've added in support for CSS to help drive the redraw of the screen, or is it built in? And that's probably a question for Mark or
Built
Phil.
in.
Yeah, it's built in.
Excellent.
So thank you, Mark. MQTT as a broker, as a client, a Sparkplug B client, as Walker talked about earlier. Python integration, so if you've created scripts other places, you can just drop them right into FactoryStudio and start using them. We have themes support, so you could think of it as a color palette that you can change on the fly in your displays. So maybe if everything's operating normal, it just looks, as it normally does. But if there's a critical alarm or something, you could switch to a red theme, so the whole display changes colors, drawing your attention to it, or accentuates anything that you would want as a theme. We refer to them as. In this version, we introduce our Visual SQL query builder. So it makes it just a lot easy to build out your query, connect, to all the fields that you would need from your database to design that query, and then just drop it into the project wherever you need it. Project templates is a big time saver for you, because maybe you want to include some a trend window or alarm history just automatically. So when you create a project, you can say you want to include those things, and it will create displays with those features already in it, pre-configured, so you don't have to go through and spend any time on those things. We've enhanced our HTML5 support tremendously in this package. We've added more symbols, and we include a high efficiency graphics library in the product as well. So if that's what you're designing your displays to be, we've got all those things included in the package already. We've got some smart flow connectors to show flow of data or flow throughout your graphics. Depending on what type of industry or application that might be important for you. We've added an industrial fonts icon, or industrial icon font, I should say. So rather than drawing all these symbols and assigning your properties to each one of them, you can just change, for instance, the color of a font based on a value. So it's just another way, a big time saver for you in the development tools. Multi-screen engineering. So if you want to pop up different elements on different parts of your interface or of your monitor, you can do that as well. And there's a whole slew of other things that have been there for a long time. The multi-monitor support. If you've got one monitor, that's a simple thing to configure for. But what if you have a monitor wall, 4, 16, however many monitors up there, or you've got a control panel with multiple monitors, and you want to have it populate those monitors with specific displays. We can do all that. We've always been able to do that. That's been there since day one. It's a big time saver. Create in any resolution or aspect ratio, run in any resolution and aspect ratio, and have it be full screen no matter what. So there's other things, more drivers. We added a simulator driver so you can create tags internally. And
thank you, by the way. That makes the demo much easier.
You are welcome. So then there's a whole bunch of other things that we've added into the product as well, and enhanced from before. So let's talk about a few of those things: the responsive dashboards, Python scripting, and MQTT. And so I'll start here, and then I'm going to hand it off to Mark to get into some of the other details. But we talked briefly about the responsive dashboards. Here's an example of one where you've got, and this one, it's got, looks like 6, 7, 11 different things that are objects that are shown on the display. And so if you were to take that display and either size it on your PC or access that on your iPhone, then those things would all automatically shift for you. So it's easy drop, easy drag and drop configuration. So you just drag the symbols out of the library and drop them on there, and then configure them with whatever data that you need. So creating dashboards in both for both .NET and for HTML5. So it also supports the project themes and so on. So it's getting a lot of great feedback from people on it. They really like it. It's a huge time saver. It makes their application accessible in a very usable and meaningful way, depending on what device and what orientation that device is currently being used, and it switches all that on the fly. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mark to talk about the Python scripting, where we're at, and what we're doing with that, as well as the MQTT. Mark?
Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
And for the ones that are the first time I'm talking with, I apologize for my big accents. It's a mix of Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and Texas. But anyway, one thing that we put effort is to allow you to use the specific programming language you need for your projects. From time to time, there are articles comparing C# with Python, but frankly, depend on your project and your backgrounds, the language is more suitable. We cannot really do comparing. So one thing that we have that's quite unique, we allow you to create your codes, your analytics, your script customization. In your selection, you can do in Python, you can do in C#, you can do in VB.NET, you can do in JavaScript, and in fact, all those languages, they can interact in the application. And when using Python, it's very important. We support any version of Python. We are not tied to one specific version. So you can pick up and add the latest tools from Python. And that script will access our tags, our communication drivers, and even have been able to have interaction with the .NET codes. So we not only put support to Python, but we allow you very easily, if you have some procedures in .NET, you can call that right away from your Python codes. Or if you have someone in your company that creates some C# or .NET components, they can access Python objects from within the .NET interface. So that's more than a time saving. It's really enable some projects and bring in more people from the company to collaborate that properly. And in fact, if you go to the next slide, Dave, I think we even have some examples on some light tricks that we do. Among those languages, C# and VB.NET are the ones that are very close in syntax. That allows us even to translate automatically So in this example here, what we're looking, if you have some codes in your application written C#, we have the built-in tools in the platform to translate that code to be able to visualize in VB.NET, what for many engineers, you can read the code more clearly. So in between the .NET language, we even allow that real-time translation of the codes. And when creating new tasks, you see there on the option VB.NET, C# and Python. And one question I have from time to time is what's the difference between our frameworks and, for instance, doing Visual Studio for Microsoft to create our own codes? The difference is we have a built-in infrastructure to define when that code is going to run, when this tag has a new value, or when you open that display. Is this code going to run on the server sides or on each client side? How the many variables we are exchanging will going to synchronize data. So if you pick up a programming tool, if the Python basic framework or the .NET tools, you have an open thing there. You need to do by brute force all the handling of events, all the handle of data synchronization. And I see Walker saying, yes, yes, that's the idea. So the reason we call scripting, not programming languages, even it's full programming language, it's the full .NET power of C#. It's the full language, but the reason you call it scripts is we allow to use those programming languages in context of your application. Here is the logic I need to run in response for these events. So we have the tools, so you just populate the reaction to the events, the displays, the user interface using any language you need. So you can focus on the application, not really on the programming side. That's the idea, Dave. And you are muted, Dave.
Story of my life. Okay. So let's go ahead and go on to MQTT.
Yes, let's talk about that. We had support for MQTT for a few years because if you know from us, we always have all kinds of communication drivers. So we ship the product with more than 50 communication drivers, and MQTT, the base version, was there a while. But thanks for the interaction with Walker, we really raised that MQTT is more than a communication driver. It embedded concepts of the namespaces. It's embedded concept of the proper data modeling. It embedded concept of allowing the proper coordination between those many nodes. So what we did for the version 9.1, and I thank you personally for Walker to do those guidance, is that MQTT is not only one more of our 50 drivers. Now MQTT is one core technology supported by our frameworks. What that means? It means, for instance, that we even have a built-in broker out in the box. So of course, when you deploy your projects, you can use HiveMQ in the cloud. It's a great tool. You can use Mosquito for that. There are many brokers that we can use, but we like the idea to, when you install the framework, we have everything you need to deploy your project or at least prototype right away. So this release, we included a built-in broker that supports both the standard MQTT specification as well as Sparkplug B natively. So you can use both specifications. And of course, you can use our framework with a third-party broker. That's still there. But to simplify and make you really start very quickly, both the SQL database that we used to have as the web embedded web server and now the broker is right away, from the unlimited version even to the small Linux runtime for edge devices. All those tools that are included in all the full scale. So I think on the next slides, Dave, we have some typical architectures on how the MQTT broker can be used. One is like most broker acting as a gateway. But when we added our built-in broker, we added one more benefits that will be the ability to be natively connected with your runtime application. So when you do your solution, you do your projects, you don't need to publish your objects one by one. You don't need to do any configuration for that. The same way we had on the past support to be an OPC server, that you just expose which tags from my application should be visible or not visible to the OPC server. We have that similar capability now with the MQTT. So when you develop your project, your data models, you just define at the tag, at the asset model, which objects should be exposed to my MQTT clients. And when you do that, you don't do any configuration. So the external clients can start subscribing data from your application right away without you having to expose your tags, your runtime data. It's built in. And of course, the third scenario is when you combine those two. You natively expose your projects and you still can act as a gateway. Go ahead. Walker.
Yeah, Mark, I just want to say that in the first module, the last video of the first module for FrameworX University, we go over architecture. So how is FrameworX broken down from engineering environment, runtime, project? What do all those things mean? So that's part of the training.
Perfect. And so, and where you go from there, Dave? All that I'm showing now is available right now, okay, in the 9.1 release. But I'd like also to show that one big difference from our company, our project's very much alive. We are working on that all times. And in fact, most of those features that we put now, 2 years ago, they were not there. When we have the training with Walker, said, okay, you need this and that. And 18 months later, the things are there. And right now, if you go to the next slides, Dave, I don't have a list of roadmap, but I use this chart to talk what's next. Okay, we have a broker, we have the smart plug P. So where we feel, and of course, part of this interaction with you, I'm willing to receive your feedback over the next few weeks and months. But some concepts that I can do right away that are including on the system is work on that concept of unified namespace. So we can more easily access namespace objects that are outside our own framework. What that means, with the things we're going to put out in the next few weeks, besides being able to do trees and displays showing data that's already mapped to our own system, when you use the MQTT benefits of adding new objects dynamically in the proper unified namespace, our displays, our application will be able to recognize those extended namespace that's sitting outside our own framework. So to show what Walker described, every time you put a new product, you have one more data silo. One thing that we did on the 9.1 release is not work as a data silo. You can work the application level, you can work the displays, you can use the user interaction, even alarms and notification. But if the data model we are showing is sitting on an external storage package from GE, from Canary Labs, or sitting in another broker in an extended UI, our application will handle very nicely that data that's sitting outside our own frameworks. That's what we are working to release in the next few weeks and within the next 2 months right away. That's it.
Awesome.
And I will give back the word to Dave and Walker. But before that, I'd like to present my thanks, because we had some internal components from the very beginning. If you know our history, Tatsoft was created to deliver a new platform created from scratch to enable IoT and Industry 4.0 applications. So we have all those internal stacks of technology inside. But the last 2 years that we approached some integrators, Walker Reynolds here was one of the key ones that have the vision from the application guys. Okay, now I want those core components in an easy to use way. We had huge improvements for that 9.1 release, adding that application layer, easy to use layer in top of the foundation blocks that we had. So thank you for that. And I'll give back the words to you.
Very good.
Thank you, Mark.
Zach, yep, go ahead.
No,
All right,
Mark, I just want to say, you know, I mentioned this in a previous video that, you know, the thing that had, I think it was the FactoryStudio story, but you know, in terms of what you guys have developed, I mean, over the last 18 months, it's impressive. The amount of development, how far you've advanced. The platform was already, you know, was super fast, was already the best price you could get in the market. There's not anything even close. I mean, and I've told you this many times that, you know, I don't want you to raise the price, but I believe it's underpriced. Okay, I say this all the time. You know, if you look at in this space, right? I don't want to digress, but you know, FactoryStudio, you can spend $11,000 for n value, right? With FactoryStudio, you can spend $23,000 for the same n value with inductive automation with Ignition, or you can spend between $80,000 and $100,000 for n value using WinCCOA, and all three of those interchangeably can serve very much the same. You know, if you look at the Venn diagram, the circles are almost on top of one another with those three solutions, right? But you've got 11,000, 23,000, or 80 to 100,000, right? And you guys were already maxed out on value. What you guys have done over the last 18 months is basically 8 years of development. If you look at where inductive automation was in 2012 and where they are today in 2020, you guys close that gap in this release. It's pretty crazy. It really is insane. I want to touch on one other thing. What Mark was saying at the very end, the important part here to the audience, is that FactoryStudio, that was the new improvements are developed with an eye on being able to create self-aware applications. That is, the projects themselves, the runtime, being able to identify changes in the ecosystem and having what you view update based on that change. We talk about this self-aware, edge-driven. I've added a sensor and I don't want to have to go and integrate to put that sensor on the screen. Because of the way FactoryStudio has been developed, the way that they've made the changes with frameworks, that's not even the changes. I think you guys really supported it out of the box. But is that it will support self-aware applications, which, by the way, is a huge piece, is the future of supervisor control and data acquisition in HMI. So that's not the future, it's the present. Right. Zach, I think it's to you, right?
All right, yeah. If I look, thanks, Walker. Thanks for, if I look like I was distracted right there, I was, because I was looking for a video. You know, I was thinking, all right, what do I want to do for my section, which I'm going to cut it a little short down to like 10 minutes. What do I want to share? Obviously, I'm going to show you guys FXU, how to log in. Many of you guys have already figured that out. It's not that hard, but once I drop the link, you guys can all log in. And, but, you know, Walker, you were talking about that 8-year leap in the last 2 years. And so, you know, when I was editing the FactoryStudio story video, I was thinking back to when I first met Dave. I do want to, and I was actually able to, I was trying to find the original video, but I was able to find a clip from the Waterworks show back in 2018. And for a little bit of context, I had just kind of started being that industry content creator that everyone, knew on LinkedIn. And so I was going to conferences. I just started working with Walker. We had just done our first podcast. So to share this, it's kind of showing you where Tatsoft was 2 years ago and that progress that they've made. So can you guys see my screen here?
Yeah, we
Sure can.
Okay. So there's not any audio, but this is a video, a vlog that I did at the conference. And here you'll see I cut down to the part where I went to the Tatsoft booth. Oh, there it is. So there was actually like cool music playing and stuff like that. And I went around to all the other SCADA vendors, and that was kind of my idea for the industry, much like what we do for 4.0 solutions, was like, let's feature all of the platforms. Like, let's show what are the best in class platforms. That's why we have FactoryStudio here today. And yeah, it's just really cool to share that little moment, because to be here today is really exciting. To have all of you guys here, 100+ people, to have the guys from Tatsoft, to be launching the university, is like to be able to see that dream that that 2 years ago was just like this crazy idea. That Walker and I were like creating content for the industry, by the industry, for the industry. So
and we got hats out of it. So if anybody wants a I was joking earlier, if anybody wants a Tatsoft hat, we'll publish Dave Hellier's email, and you guys can send him an email. I want a Tatsoft. I want a Tatsoft mug. That's what I want. I want a mug. I want a coffee mug.
Okay.
So, all right, Zach, let's see FrameworX University.
All right,
let's see it.
I'll share the screen here.
So for the group, for the audience, we are going to be we're releasing FrameworX University in modules. So module 1 is being published today. We'll probably have module 2 published on Monday. So I think there are 6 modules altogether. So we're still editing the rest of the videos, but module 1's been released.
Module 1 is today. I'll drop the link in once this video is over, because I don't want everyone to just go sign up right now. But once the video is done, you guys will all get the link emailed to you, and then you can sign up, enter your name and email, and you'll get emailed your credentials, and it's gonna take you to this page here, which is essentially telling you that you've successfully created your FrameworX University account. Check your email for login credentials, and right here it's going to kind of tell you what our mentorship program is. It is sort of an upsell, but you don't have to join mentorship. Many of you guys probably already are in mentorship, and FrameworX University we built it to build step 2 of our mentorship program. So that's what that is. And just to show you guys real quick, I actually, well, no, I don't have that tab open anymore, but I'll pull up my, I'll show you what the email looks like that you get. So it'll look something like this. Your new FrameworX University account has been created.
Oh, there's your password. Everybody log in, nuke them.
It's harmless. This is in the back end. So this is just your user account. And what is cool is it's also going to give you the link to join the Discord server. And also I'm going to add this after the fact, but Tatsoft has there's a forum. So there's going to be a link to a forum that you can also get support directly from the guys at Tatsoft. Many of the guys from Tatsoft are in the Industry 4.0 Discord, and that's where myself, Vaughn Turner, and Walker Reynolds give you guys support. But I digress.
The format of FrameworX University is pretty simple. There are 6 or 7 modules. I can't remember how many modules there are. There are 6 or 7 modules.
Once you log in, this is what it's going to kind of look like.
Each module has a series of videos. So the training isn't just centered around how to work with frameworks. There is also philosophical and strategic discussions that we have. Okay. So you're learning how to work with FactoryStudio and be able to develop with FactoryStudio, but also you are learning Industry 4.0 principles. So you'll watch all the videos. Each video has 1 or 2 quiz questions that come out of it. And then at the end, the last video of each module is recommended practical work. So the video, all the videos are shot without a script. They're all done organically, the way we do everything. The last video, Zach, will you go to the module and show the last video? There is a recommended practical work in the last video. So what we're recommending you do. And in that video, I walk through, hey, you should go download here. You should create a virtual machine, install this, and because you'll need it for the next module. That's essentially how this is all working. And then once you're done with the module, you'll take a quiz of 15 questions, right, guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
A quiz of 15 questions. Got to get 100 to go forward, which shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah.
When you complete each module, you should have been educated, and you should have something tangible in your hands to work with. We should have all the modules in the university probably, hopefully end of next week. But
Okay. Yeah. So what I was showing you guys here is this is the dashboard where you'll have, the course, and you can see your progress through it. You can view the course. Right now, there's just module 1 where there's 10 videos you guys can view today. We'll have module 2, module 3 coming shortly. And then what I was showing you here is under the library, there's actually a member directory. So these are the guys, the early adopters that have already signed up. So thank you guys. I'm not sure how we're going to use this, but this is a new functionality of the online learning platform, which is cool. And then there's an announcements tab. So when we release the new modules, you'll get an announcement. And there's also the store page. The only product available for FrameworX University is FrameworX University, but there's also a link to sign up for the IIoT mini course, which is kind of a recommended prerequisite. The IIoT mini course is free. The Industry 4.0 mentorship program is a paid option. Again, not necessary, but if you are looking to accelerate your transformation, we recommend it. And, I think it's worth mentioning right now that, we did all this for free. You guys are going to be able to join FXU for free. There's no quid pro quo. Walker says that all the time.
yeah, we are not being paid or compensated in any way, shape, or form by Tatsoft. So
the way that we do, you guys
question does
support.
come up. People will ask, hey, are you getting paid? But no, we don't have any. In fact, we don't even accept those types of relationships. So part of the reason we are not a premier integrator with other companies is because there are quid pro quos that are involved there. And so we want to remain impartial. So there is our belief in FactoryStudio and Tatsoft is wholly based on the merits of their platform. There's nothing. I mean, let me take that back. I got a hat. They did give me.
I was going to say.
So call the NCAA. Revoke my eligibility. But, all right. With that, I would.
I do want to make a quick. I haven't quite finished yet. So I was going to say, the way that we do get compensated is obviously through the mentorship program, and I do want to take a moment to also share that this year I'm actually dedicated full time to 4.0 solutions. And that's something that hasn't been in the past. I've been more of a contractor. What that means to you guys is you're not going to notice anything from the forward facing side. What you will notice though is more support. I'm more active in the Discord. We're doing more weekly live streams. So there's going to be added value in joining the mentorship program, which means that obviously I have to plug it. And that's why we're doing this. So thank you guys for making this possible. I truly appreciate it.
And also for me, I want to follow up. I am wholly focused on 4.0 solutions. And in fact, all of my other companies are being run by other people now. I'm working full-time on education and outreach for the community. So
this took a ton of work out of our time. So
yeah, it's freed up a lot of time for us to do this.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Nice hat. We got to get Riken a hat. All right. Before we close up, any questions, guys? I tried to answer them as we went through, but any other questions for the Tatsoft guys or for us? But what you will be seeing over the next month is additional releases of the modules, and we will be releasing an Industry 4.0 demo of FactoryStudio using the existing infrastructure we already have. So for the mentees and the and those in Digital Mastermind, we're going to be using the exact same infrastructure and integrating FactoryStudio. And in fact, we're putting FactoryStudio in the middle as the IIoT framework or IIoT platform. And we'll be plugging into HiByte Intelligence Hub. All right, cool.
Adele had asked.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you know, many of the automation community that followed me, they know that a year ago I had gotten my real estate license. I am still licensed, but like I said, that's kind of not something I'm really focused on. My primary focus is 4.0 solutions. This right here, what you guys are doing, making sure FXU launch event goes smoothly, making sure our mentees are being taken care of, planning our mastermind courses, and filming content with Walker for you guys. So thank you.
Hey, Harry, Dave, Mark, Tolgar, if anybody has any questions for you guys, who is it best to reach out to and how? So if there are integrators that want to join your integrator program, or there are engineers that want to, you know, get a license to play, or you got end users who want to look at there was a lot of questions about pricing and what licenses are available, and what's the best way to reach you guys?
So
Dave?
Send them my way. It's dave.hellier@tatsoft.com is my email address. I could put the screen up there again if you want to share that. Let's see. Here we go.
Yeah, that was a nice screen, Dave.
Thank you.
That was pretty. Now I know why Mark keeps you around. You make really nice slides. You make really nice slides.
Although that might have been.
I didn't make this one.
Oh, you didn't?
Yes. Wait a minute here.
Tolgar, did you make the slide?
Yeah, I made this presentation. What's going on?
That was a great looking slide, man. I'm like, man, whoever did this. We don't do PowerPoint. I try to, you know, I'm a lot like a whiteboard guy. But that's a great looking slide right there. That's a great looking slide.
Hey, Walker, just really quickly, I just want to say thank you for this event and putting it together with you guys and Telic and 4.0 Solutions and, you know, all the attendance. And I just want to say very quickly, above and beyond anything around pricing and our product, we're also launching a forum.tatsoft.com. So feel free to post questions there, you know, get the community and discussion happening.
Syed asked, research student discount, student licensing. Guys, do you guys?
They will be our primary point of contact, but if any of you in time want to discuss in detail the technology, some technical aspect about the products, or some eventually paper that we're working, or magazine that we need to discuss something about technology, please feel free to reach me also directly. And that's what I've been doing the last 18 months, is putting all the focus on the technology, on the products, going really deep on that. So in some point you want to go deep on those areas, feel free to reach me out directly also through my email that's there.
Hey, real quick question. Do you guys, I can't believe I don't know the answer to this question. Do you guys do a Scholastic licensing?
So we can, okay, and we have, and we can, but we look at those on a case-by-case basis, and we'll work with them, put together the program they need.
So Syed, reach out to Dave Hellier, dave.hellier@tatsoft.com, and he's the one who'll coordinate with you on student. Here's the other thing. You don't have to have a license to run FactoryStudio. You can download the demo. You know, you can play with the software. If you run a client, I think it runs for an hour. Is that right, guys?
I think it's 2 hours.
Runs for 2 hours. So it, you know, same concept. You can test the software without needing a license, and launch it. But my recommendation.
Yep. We've had requests for that to be 8 to 12 hours, but you know that's a shift.
Yeah.
So
2 hours is
right. 2 hours is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you mind making that a year?
Yeah.
So, all right, awesome. If there are no other questions, I think we got
Dave,
all
you want to stop sharing real quick?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dan Reichen on the Dan Reichen said best webinar ever. That's because we just wing it.
Somebody wants a hat. Yep.
You want that? Go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
That's
take
it.
us
Thank
home.
you guys for joining. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week on our Industry 4.0 weekly live stream.
Thank you to
Okay, guys.
everybody. Truly
Thank you.
appreciate the time,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
See you guys.
Hey, Zach and Vaughn.